Okay, listen, we all know my thoughts about the people you find on Tinder. There are demons, dark angels, Satan himself, then obviously Chad from Sigma Chi. They're all there and you will find them there. But seriously, it can be a struggle to find someone worth talking to for more than 5 minutes on Tinder. Every conversation just starts looking the same because you have to go through the initial getting to know phase with literally everyone. I remember when I was on it, I was like, how many times now have I told someone what I do and where I went to school? But no matter what sort of people I've had to deal with, thank God none of them are these people. What is up, you guys? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. I am back! Sorry for my brief hiatus there. Had a bit of allergies, then I had to get COVID tested, but it's negative. Either way, today we are going to be uncovering the top 10 scary demonic encounters on Tinder part 2. Starting us off at number 10 is the devil match. Posted by the user Psycho Post, the story was about a girl named Emma who finally found a guy on Tinder who went to the same uni as her, was in a different major than her, and actually made her laugh, so of course she decided to meet up with him for a date. Before getting there, he warned her that he'd be a bit late, but when she showed up, he was already there. Exact same person with the exact same facial features, same outfit as in the picture, so no cause for concern really. The date was going well and they clicked on everything. I wish I could go on a date like that. Emma ended up getting in the car with him, and on the way back to his place she got a text from her Tinder date apologizing for being late and asking where she is. Now that's when she turned to the guy who was driving her to his home and saw that something was a bit off about his face. His teeth were a little bit too sharp, his eyes a bit too dark, he almost looked fake and definitely sinister. But she was under a spell and still decided to go home with him, and apparently she's still there because she knows that if she ever tries to leave, she's just going to find herself right back there with him. Coming in at number 9 is Hookup Guy. This one is a story of a guy who used Tinder for, well, what a lot of people use it for, hookups. He matched with a girl who honestly looked to be the girl of his dreams. You know, long curly hair, big lips, curvy in all the quote-unquote right places, which for the record is a gross way of thinking. Any place you have curves is the right place to have curves. Please, don't let anybody body shame you. But anyway, she agreed to meet up with him, and so he went over to her place. When he got there, he was shocked at how clean and borderline bare it was, like American Psycho level. But whatever, he thought, she just must be a bit of a neat freak. No harm there. Everyone has their, kinks. But when they started talking, he realized that she seemed so stiff and unnatural, like had she ever talked to a person before? But again, whatever, he wasn't there to make deep connections. And he kept not thinking about it until she got up to go into the kitchen, and when she walked past the mirror, he noticed that her reflection seemed just a split second delayed. The way her apartment was set up made it possible to peek into the kitchen undetected by her, but when he poked his head around the corner, he immediately wished he hadn't. He saw her twitching around with her limbs bent at inhuman angles, and her hair went from looking full and vibrant to dead and limp, and her skin was grey with the veins visible under the paper-thin tissue. He was paralyzed in fear, but some sort of warmth came over him and pushed him towards the door. Just before the door slammed behind him, he turned around and saw two piercing black eyes charging towards him from the kitchen, only to be stopped at the last second by the door finally closing. He had no idea what he had matched with, but he was not about to stick around to find out. No hookup is worth that. Next up at number 8 is the picture. This one's from Reddit user broccoli_boy69 who posted this person's Tinder photos onto Reddit. I mean, I guess if there's something about as scary as matching with a demon on Tinder, it's matching with somebody who's being followed by a demon. This picture shows, from what I can see, a pretty normal looking picture on a profile until you see what's behind the girl. Somebody or something has glowing eyes and is staring directly at the camera. And apparently there's something about human eyes that they can't reflect light in that way, which is why they usually show up as red instead of normal glowing like cat eyes. So what is this thing if her eyes aren't human? This creepy look on her face definitely makes me think she's not an angel unless she's, fallen. Filling at number 7 slot is Anonymous. This encounter was shared by a girl who wanted to stay anonymous, and honestly, who can blame her? She had matched with a guy who admittedly looked a bit mysterious but seemed to fit all her criteria in his bio. After chatting for a bit, they decided to meet up in public. Good tip, always meet in public. Now he gave her an address, which was a bit odd to begin with instead of just telling her the name of the place they were meeting, but she thought it would be safe enough. When she got there, instead of it being a park like she thought it was, it seemed to be an abandoned lot. Kind of weird setting for a first date. She saw a new subdivision in the distance, but definitely not close enough to be within walking distance, and other than the abandoned lot, there was just a lot of fields around where the GPS took her. Major red flag, people. She thought she had the wrong address until she saw him in the middle of the lot surrounded by leftover metals, cement, and whatever else the construction crew had left behind. But there was no other car in sight, so she was really confused about how he had even gotten there. When she approached him, he turned around and smiled in a way that seemed almost like he was excited to see her, but something about it seemed very sinister. She already had a fair share of red flags from him, but the final straw was when she noticed that despite it being a very sunny day, he didn't have a shadow. Also, he was still way too far away for his smile to be that big and bright. Just didn't seem natural or human. Luckily, she was able to slowly back away, get back in her car, and speed the hell away from him. And yes, she did delete her Tinder account before she even made it back home. Filling at number 6 thought is no date. This story involves somebody who didn't even make it to the date. This girl, who we will call Alice for anonymity reasons, was scrolling through Tinder one day and found the profile of a girl who looked to be her exact type. She swiped right and matched immediately, but after scrolling through her pictures again, she noticed something really odd. In every single one of the girl's pictures, Alice was somewhere in the background, wearing the exact same outfit each time, and as she looked down, she noticed it was the exact same outfit she was wearing that day. Alice was so freaked out, especially because she had never been to any of these places, that she deleted every single dating app on her phone and shut her phone off for the rest of the night. And I mean, I really can't blame her. If I saw myself in the background of someone's picture multiple times, I wouldn't think I was about to be the subject of a meet cute story. I'd think that I was about to be the subject of a Criminal Minds episode. Coming in at number 5 is the inhuman human. This girl went on a date with an actual human, but he lacked any semblance of humanity. His Tinder profile seemed good enough, basic, no immediate red flags, but when they went on a date, everything changed. For one, he showed up in clothes that looked like he had just rolled out of bed in, which has happened to me, and it is the worst feeling in the world when you've gotten all lovely and dressed up for a date, and they haven't even bothered to brush their teeth, let alone put on proper shoes. Anyway, when they got into the cafe, he went to the front of the line, ordered for her without asking what she wanted, which by the way isn't as romantic as a lot of people think, not in my opinion anyways, and then left to sit down, leaving her to pay. I mean, what? I'm all for girls paying for a date or splitting the bill, but just who leaves someone to pay? Then when she was bringing their drinks over, she saw him flirting with the girl at the next table over. Again, maybe not a literal demon, but most definitely a horror story. Instead of entertaining him for the rest of the date, this queen decided to turn around, take the drink and food, and leave the cafe to enjoy the day by herself. You go! That's the kind of energy we need. At number 4 is the floater. This guy had gone on a few dates with this girl that they had gotten to the point where they would sleep over at each other's houses sometimes. Things were going well until one night he rolled over because he felt the weight on the bed shift. Now he thought she was just getting up to go to the bathroom, so he rolled over to check everything was okay. But when he opened his eyes, he saw her body floating about 2 feet off the bed. Still fully asleep, but her arms and legs were dangling almost lifelessly beside her. He jumped out of bed in fear, naturally, and she floated slowly back down onto the bed. She woke up confused, but didn't seem to have any idea that something supernatural had just happened. She actually asked him why he seemed so shocked and was out of bed. Not wanting to startle her, he said he was just going to the bathroom, but ended up leaving her house in the middle of the night. Honestly, I feel bad for the girl, but if somebody I was sharing a bed with started levitating in the middle of the night, I'd probably book it too. But at least I'd tell them they were possessed before doing it. I do have that much courtesy. Filling at number 3 slot is the little girl. Now with this one, we have a woman who had been dating somebody from Tinder for a while now, and he was finally comfortable enough to let her meet his infant daughter. This was obviously a huge deal to both of them, so they were equal parts excited and nervous. When she got to his house for the playdate, he left them alone while he went to make some lunch. Now things were going well, as they often do, until the daughter paused for a second and looked at her inquisitively. She asked in an innocent little kid voice, "Can I tell you something?" Of course, someone was excited to already have an inside secret with the daughter because that meant they were already bonding. Until the daughter said, "Don't tell daddy, but I used to be dead. I remember being on a big boat and going underwater. It was really scary and it hurt a lot, but when I came back out, I was with mommy and daddy. That's why I don't like bath time now." And then she went back to just playing with her toys like she hadn't said anything. Obviously, the woman was terrified, and she had heard a bunch of stories about kids having super super open third eyes and not yet being jaded enough to turn away from the spirit world. So yeah, she was scared. She didn't leave the playdate though, and she's apparently still with the kid's dad, but who knows what other stories the kid has told her by now. Could this kid have been on the Titanic in her past life? Who knows? Coming in at number 2 is the dorm. This one goes to a guy who will probably be looking over his shoulder all the time now. This guy was just scrolling through Tinder one night when he saw a profile that had his residence floor as the main picture. Thinking it was weird, he just swiped left. But the next picture was the same kind of image, except it was even closer to his dorm room. With each left swipe, the pictures were getting closer and closer to his room until it was just a picture of his room number. He was obviously frozen in fear but had to see what was happening. He kept swiping, and in the next few pictures he saw himself exactly where he was sitting, same clothes, same position. Slowly he turned around and saw nothing. There was no demon, no person there, but his door was wide open. He still has no idea what happened that night, but he's sworn off swiping for eternity, hopefully. And honestly, I would literally throw my phone into the nearest ocean if that ever happened to me and then go live off the grid. No friggin' thanks. And finally, at number 1 is the tag along. So a girl was about to go on a Tinder date and her friend decided to actually tag along on the date to make it more of a casual vibe. They decided to go to a hotel that was notoriously haunted but still being used as a regular hotel and just wander the halls and see what they could find. When they all got there, things seemed to be going pretty well. The guy seemed chill, conversation was flowing easily, and the hotel seemed awesome and had photos of its history throughout. Everything seemed normal, that is, until a specific photograph caught her eye. This picture from over 100 years before was somebody who looked to be the exact same person as her friend's date. In fact, they had the same distinct birthmark under their left eye. Visibly shaken, the friend's date looked to him, then at the picture, then back at him, and got a look in his eyes almost like he was warning her to keep her mouth shut, which for the rest of the date she did. But she made sure not to let either of them out of her sight, and the second they left the hotel, she asked her friend for a ride home just to make sure she wouldn't be left alone with this mysterious demon ghost date. That is a true ride or die best friend, honestly, quite literally. And that is it for today's video, guys. Sorry that I've been gone, but I am back. Thankfully, no demonic Tinder experiences for me. I'm not on the app anymore. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. As always, I'm your host, Eamon Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!